The air was thick with a searing white light, and the rush of wind echoed as a vortex of astral winds threatened to overwhelm them. However, a protective barrier held firm, preventing the winds from touching their bodies. Slowly, the strange sensation passed, and clarity returned to their surroundings. Hanli's eyes scanned the area, an enormous underground cavern, reminiscent of the Heavenly Star Pagoda's inner sanctum, its walls etched with ancient runes and embedded spirit stones. The talisman that Hanli had held in his hand vanished in the chaos of the teleportation, leaving him with a wry smile. His attempt to study it had been cut short. Nearby, an elderly itinerant immortal with a head of white hair and youthful features stood, surrounded by 20 or 30 figures. These individuals, garbed in varied attire, were not from the Black Wind Sea. As the group stepped onto the teleportation array, a sharp sense of danger surged in Hanli's chest. His eyes flicked toward a group of cultivators with calm faces, their auras stable. Yet Hanli could not shake the ominous feeling they emanated. Just then, a towering green-skinned man approached the elderly immortal, offering a respectful salute. "Thank you for your hard work, Elder Yi. I'll be taking over for the next 100 years. The elder rose, handing over a round array plate, and exchanged pleasantries with the green-skinned man before stepping into the array. Moments later, the array flared, and the cavern was empty, the group now transported to Black Wind Island. The green-skinned man turned to the others, his voice strong and commanding. "From this day forth, the Black Wind Cave teleportation array will be sealed for 100 years. If you wish to return to the Black Wind Sea, come back after that time. Prepare enough immortal origin stones for the trip." He gestured northward. "Travel north, and after several thousand kilometers, you'll reach Seaside City. Rest there before continuing your journey. I wish you all safe travels." With that, the crowd dispersed, and the woman in red was among those who swiftly vanished from view. Hanli's gaze lingered on the sea breeze, now tinged with the scent of salt. With a determined thought, he flew northward, the coast stretching endlessly beneath him. The landscape was barren at first, but soon towering trees rose, casting an ancient and untamed atmosphere over the land. The roar of a distant demon beast echoed through the air as Hanli's excitement grew. After an hour, the outlines of Seaside City appeared ahead, its protective light barrier glowing like a turtle shell over the bustling city below. Descending into the city, Hanli joined the flow of cultivators entering, his aura masked to avoid drawing attention. Two teams of azure-robed guards, all cultivators of the spatial tempering stage, stood watch. Their leader, a body integration cultivator, paid little mind to Hanli as he passed, accepting spirit stones as entry payment. Inside the city, crude shops lined the street, their wares as varied as the cultivators who roamed the area. Spirit herbs, ores, and demon beast materials filled the stores, their quality rivaling that of the most prestigious shops in Black Wind City. Hanli approached a particular shop, where a pockmarked man behind the counter hastily greeted him, sensing his high cultivation. "How may I assist you, senior? My shop has everything you need." "Do you sell maps?" Hanli asked. The man quickly produced an azure jade slip. "I have the most detailed map of the Lost Grave Forest. If you're looking for demon beasts or spirit herbs, this will guide you." However, Hanli shook his head. "I don't need that. Do you have maps of the primordial wave continent or nearby continents?" The man's eyes flickered for a moment, but he quickly retrieved two jade slips, one yellow and one blue. Hanli examined them both. The yellow jade slip depicted a detailed map of the primordial wave continent, complete with annotations of important locations. The Lost Grave Forest was noted as a perilous region, teeming with demon beasts, some even at the true immortal stage. It was a place many cultivators sought out, though the dangers were great. Hanli's brow furrowed as he realized the Immortal Realm outside the Black Wind Sea was even more dangerous than he had anticipated. Despite his powers, traversing the primordial wave continent was far from certain. The blue jade slip offered a map of nearby continents, marking key areas, but lacking the detail of the primordial wave map. The Thunderstorm Sea, a violent and dangerous stretch of ocean, separated the primordial wave continent from the ancient cloud continent. This perilous stretch lay between Hanli and his ultimate destination. In that moment, Hanli understood. The path of cultivation was fraught with peril, far more than he had imagined. Han Li stood motionless, clutching two jade slips, his mind adrift in thought. The pockmarked man beside him, noting his silence, asked with concern, "Are you all right, Senior?" Han Li snapped back to reality and inquired about the price of the jade slips, paying the requested sum of spirit stones. With a gesture, he placed a pile of spirit stones on the counter. "Your family has dealt in these maps for generations. Surely you know the primordial wave continent well. I have some questions for you. Answer them, and these spirit stones are yours." A flicker of greed shone in the pockmarked man's eyes as he glanced at the stones, nodding eagerly. "Of course, Senior, ask away," Han Li inquired. "Is there any safe way to cross the primordial wave continent from Seaside City? Are there teleportation arrays available?" The pockmarked man chuckled softly. "You seem to have little knowledge of our continent, Senior. The primordial wave continent is secluded, with most of it uninhabited. Small cities like Seaside City have no teleportation arrays. The only option is to fly." Han Li's brow furrowed at the news. The pockmarked man continued. "However, some cities in the central region have teleportation arrays, but their cost is exorbitant." "Do you know which cities have them?" Han Li asked. The pockmarked man smiled. "The map you have shows those cities, marked by a white vortex symbol." Han Li examined the jade slip again, spotting the symbols in the central and eastern regions. "I see." Han Li nodded, his path becoming clearer. With this knowledge, his journey across the continent would be safer once he reached the central region. The pockmarked man hesitated before advising, "If you plan to cross the continent, Senior, be warned of the perils ahead. Travel alone, and you'll face many obstacles. I suggest you visit the Immortal Outlet in the city." Han Li, considering the advice, thanked the man and left the shop. After a brief flight through the city streets, a golden structure appeared before him, a majestic palace adorned with a dragon. The words Immortal Outlet were inscribed above the gates. Inside, Han Li was greeted by a vast hall, bustling with cultivators of varying levels. To the left, treasures and pills were on display. To the right, a shop for acquisitions. Golden-robed cultivators with embroidered dragons oversaw the area, the most powerful among them seated in deep meditation. At the center of the hall was a massive azure jade wall, inscribed with mission details. Han Li, ignoring the shops, approached the wall. Many missions were posted, but the golden text signified those issued by the Immortal Palace, and the white text indicated those from other cultivators. Among the latter, Han Li found several missions seeking travel companions, some to escort merchant parties and others to protect individuals. After a quick assessment, Han Li selected a merchant escort mission that would depart in 3 days. He approached a golden-robed cultivator at the wall, who requested Han Li's immortal token in exchange for taking the mission. "Immortal token?" Han Li asked. Realizing that it was required to undertake Immortal Outlet missions, the cultivator pointed him toward a room with an azure door. Inside, an elderly golden-robed man with a body integration cultivation base greeted Han Li, requesting his name and origin. Han Li, adopting the name Liu Shi from the Black Wind Sea, complied. The elderly man wrote in a book before producing a golden badge, which he waved toward Han Li. A golden light enveloped him, imprinting his visage onto the badge. "Keep it safe," the man advised, tossing the token to Han Li. As Han Li exited, he pondered the process. The laxity of the procedure surprised him. The Immortal Palace didn't seem concerned with knowing too much about its Taoists. With the immortal token in hand, Han Li swiftly selected the merchant escort mission. The details etched into his token, he exited the palace, setting off to meet the mission issuer, his figure vanishing into the sky as a streak of azure light. Chapter 158, Setting Off. Seaside City's White Cloud Inn was neither grand nor refined, much like most inns that serve both mortals and low-ranking cultivators alike. Those with cultivation usually concealed themselves, an unspoken custom. After all, few mortals could sleep soundly knowing an immortal dwelled beside them. Today, however, the inn was bustling beyond measure. Several days prior, the entire establishment had been reserved, its original staff dismissed, replaced by busy workers moving about in haste. From the front hall to the rear courtyard, towering wooden crates filled every corner, packed with all manner of goods. Outside stood rows of beast-drawn carriages, the common transport of the primordial wave continent, all laden to the brim. In the courtyard, a slightly plump, middle-aged man paced restlessly, directing men to shift the cargo from the carriages onto a gleaming white flying ark. Despite the chaos, satisfaction flickered across his face. He was Ko, regional manager of the Chenquan Trading House, one of the northern glacial immortal region's three great trading powers. Over a century, he had gathered rare spirit materials unique to this dangerous land. If these goods could safely reach Bright Hill City, their value would multiply several-fold. Yet danger stalked every league of this continent. Worse still, many of these spirit materials required freshness and life, making storage treasures useless. Only this flying ark could carry them. Recently, disaster had struck the trading house again and again. Even spatial tempering elders had perished. Ko himself was merely at deity transformation stage. Within the house, only 2 elders had reached body integration. After long deliberation, he had spent heavily to hire additional body integration cultivators as escorts. Just then, a streak of azure light descended before the inn, fading to reveal a dark-skinned, bearded man, Han Li in disguise. Ko sensed his aura and his eyes widened. He hurried forward with a deep salute. Senior must be the escort who accepted the mission. May I know your honored name? Liu Shi, Han Li replied calmly. You are fellow Taoist Ko? Indeed, indeed. Ko ushered him inside, ordered spirit tea, then hesitantly requested to see his immortal token. Han Li produced it without fuss. After verifying it, Ko's smile broadened. Excellent! We depart in 2 days. Senior Liu may rest here until then. Han Li was led to a second-floor room where he immediately set up a formation. Sitting cross-legged, he drew out thick manuals describing the primordial wave continent and began reading in silence. 2 days vanished like smoke. Late at night, the white flying ark hovered above the inn, its cargo secured. Around a dozen cultivators stood at bow and stern, most with modest cultivation, save for 4 body integration experts. Han Li stood among them, his gaze drifting toward the front where a stunning woman in flowing red robes stood beneath a veil. He recognized her instantly, the same woman who had escaped the Black Wind Sea alongside him. Her aura now revealed early body integration. She did not recognize him. Ko clasped his fists nervously. I leave the ark in everyone's hands. With a sweeping gesture, spirit patterns flared across the ark, releasing thick white mist that cloaked it like a drifting cloud, perfect concealment. The ark soared into the night. Ko proposed a rotation, 2 body integration cultivators guarding while the others rested, switching every half-month. All agreed. Thus, the 2 elders of the trading house took the first watch, while Han Li and the red-robed woman withdrew to their rooms. Han Li's chamber was spacious, complete with guest hall, bedroom, and secret room. He deployed dozens of azure light seals forming a barrier, then entered the hidden chamber and sat in meditation. With time to spare, he drew forth a sphere of heavy water from his true water pouch. Silver lightning crackled from his palms, piercing into the dense liquid. The sphere warped violently, restrained only by Han Li's control. With swift hand seals, the lightning softened into delicate strands, merging with the heavy water. Slowly, the mass condensed into a black orb streaked with silver veins. Heavy water veined lightning. Satisfied, Han Li stored it away and repeated the process. Its power alone was limited, but in numbers it could threaten even true immortals. On such a perilous journey, caution was survival. A month passed without incident. When his shift ended, Han Li returned to the chamber, wary yet pleased. 7 or 8 lightning orbs now rested in his storage bracelet, enough to form a deadly trump card. After swallowing a recovery pill and restoring his energy, he produced a black array plate, the twin star shift plate. Today was the scheduled transfer from his earthly deity avatar. He activated it. Black light flared and the plate spun, but no heavy water appeared. Unease crept into Han Li's heart. Had something happened? Just as he leaned forward, a small sphere of heavy water slowly formed above the plate. Relief washed over him. Yet minutes later, only another tiny sphere emerged, far less than usual. Han Li frowned deeply. The plate itself seemed intact. 8 starshift stones still glowed steadily with spatial power. Then a realization struck. He had traveled far from the Black Wind Sea, crossing vast stretches of the primordial wave continent. Could it be the twin starshift plates had a distance limit? Han Li's eyes narrowed, the shadow of unseen danger stretching long across the road ahead. The journey continued for Han Li as his mind was consumed with thoughts of the distance he had to travel. The twin starshift plate, a device akin to a teleportation array, seemed to lose its effectiveness over long distances. He knew that once he neared the Blaze Dragon Dao, the plate would likely be useless, but abandoning the mission was not an option. With that resolve, he refocused on the task at hand and decided to capitalize on the dwindling power of the array plate. Though it had taken mere moments in the Black Wind Sea for his earthly deity avatar to transmit the heavy water, this time it took 3 long days. The twin starshift plate had become less effective, its starshift stones now semi-transparent and drained of spiritual energy. Han Li grimaced as he stowed the array plate and prepared to refine more heavy water to make use of the dwindling resources. Weeks passed as the flying ark continued on its journey. Han Li stood vigilant once more, gazing out from the deck as the lush forest below passed by. The woman in red also emerged, and the two exchanged brief glances before parting ways. The 2 body integration stage cultivators from the trading house appeared weary and cautious. They warned that they were entering the Lost Grave Forest, a place where powerful demon beasts roamed. The man named Ko looked to Han Li and the woman, his voice filled with concern. "I will rely on you both," he said, his bloodshot eyes betraying his exhaustion. Han Li nodded, accepting the task. He flew to his position, and the woman in red moved to the opposite end. No sooner had the ark moved further did a rustling noise fill the air, and a crimson cloud appeared on the horizon. It was a flock of chicken-crest eagles, monstrous birds the size of eagles, but far more terrifying in appearance, with talons like sickles and beaks ready to launch crimson fireballs. With quick reflexes, Han Li unleashed 9 gleaming white flying swords, his spirit treasures that had been hidden away for just such an occasion. The swords formed a massive net of interwoven threads, cutting down the birds with precision and speed. The woman in red summoned a fiery dragon, its vast form incinerating the birds in its fiery breath. The remaining eagles scattered in terror, leaving the ark in peace. The ark continued onward, but soon after, a swarm of black hornets descended, and Han Li once more summoned his swords, their gleaming blades slicing through the insects with ease. Despite the constant attacks from the demon beasts of the forest, the ark pressed on, thanks to Han Li and the woman's intervention. The Ko-man, now reassured by their power, guided the ark to avoid the most dangerous areas. Days passed, and the forest gradually thinned, revealing the edge of the Lost Grave Forest. Ahead, a desert loomed, the Black Rock Desert. The ark slowed, and the Ko-man called for a rest, for nightfall had arrived. The Black Rock Desert was a treacherous place, filled with perilous gravity due to underground ore veins and monstrous dark beasts lurking beneath the sands. As dusk turned to night, Han Li quietly slipped from his room, his silhouette vanishing into the desert under the light of the full moon. He traveled swiftly through the harsh terrain, his azure light flickering as he flew far from the ark, covering a distance of nearly 100,000 kilometers before landing at an oasis. At the oasis, Han Li drank from the lake, the cool water refreshing him in the desert heat. With a deep breath, he set down the heaven-controlling vial and released his spiritual sense, enveloping the surrounding area. As the moonlight shone down, the vial began to glow, its intricate leaf patterns lighting up and radiating a brilliant white light. The lake nearby shimmered under the glow, giving the illusion that it had been frozen in time. As night's shadows deepened, Han Li sat in meditation, his senses alert, his calmness shattered when a familiar figure glided silently through the air, a woman in red, her aura masked. A flash of blue light from Han Li's eyes, and suspicion stirred within him. He concealed his own presence with a talisman, choosing to follow her from a distance, his mind clouded with questions. The woman's intentions remained unclear, but Han Li kept his distance, careful not to reveal himself. Minutes passed, and she flew beyond the oasis's edge, continuing into the night. Han Li, hesitant but curious, followed until, to his surprise, 3 enormous snow toads appeared in her path. These creatures, pure white with crystalline ice embedded in their abdomens, had concealed their presence until the last possible moment. The toads croaked, their dark tongues crackling with ice energy. Two figures stood atop one of the toads, one effeminate, the other monstrous, both intent on confronting the woman. "Do you remember us, Ganjujan?" The effeminate figure sneered. A cold reply came from the woman in red, her disdain clear. The effeminate one's face flushed with rage as his companion threatened her with death. But Ganjujan, unbothered by their taunts, launched an attack. Her crimson bracelet shimmered to life, releasing a massive fiery dragon, its roar shaking the heavens. The two enemies, in turn, unleashed their snow toads, whose ice began to stack into a towering wall, meeting the dragon in a violent explosion of fire and frost. From its vantage point, Hanli watched the battle unfold but decided not to interfere. However, a sudden force of spiritual power sent him flying, breaking his invisibility and revealing his presence. Another trio of snow toads appeared, trapping Hanli and Ganjujan. The effeminate man mocked Hanli's involvement, claiming his golden-eyed toad had revealed his hidden presence. With a glance at the toads, Hanli realized the battle had escalated. Despite the intense chill permeating the air, Ganjujan's flames provided warmth, warding off the freezing energy that sought to invade Hanli's body. The woman, now fully visible, revealed her true immortal cultivation, but the danger was still great. Her voice came to him in a steady whisper, urging him to join forces. The stakes were clear. If they didn't act swiftly, the ice would seal their fate. Hanli, weighing the risk, agreed to help. Together, they faced the six toads, the walls of ice closing in around them. Hanli's crimson flames flickered, slowly losing ground to the freezing onslaught. Ganjujan's calm resolve echoed in Hanli's mind. If she focused on keeping the chill at bay, could he shatter the array? The answer was unclear, but one thing was certain: time was running out.